Our final speaker in this session is Agnieska Ason, who is an energy disputes lawyer and an academic. She is a graduate of Polish and German universities, and she's a PhD candidate. Her topic area is integrated energy programs of small island developing states, and she go into the small island developing states. They share sustainable development challenges, including remoteness, susceptibility to natural disasters, fragile environments, and limited categories. And she's going to focus on the final aspect of it there, the challenge in environments and limited resources. So, thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. It is a great pleasure to be here to say a few words about energy situation of small island developing states. Today's presentations have already addressed small states and small vulnerable economies, and the question arises, what are small island developing states? It is a distinct group of countries consisting of 38 UN member states, which are listed on the slides, and 20 other territories. They can be found across the globe, and they are located in 3 regions. Together, they host a population of over 60 million people. They are diverse countries, from strongest economies like Singapore to the least developed countries, and they share, as we heard already from the chair, some similar characteristics, and mainly some vulnerabilities, like the susceptibility to natural disasters, remoteness, or the lack of natural resources. This lack of resources leads to dependence on imports of fossil fuels. And according to many commentators and sources, this dependence is a major source of economic vulnerability of small island developing states. This phenomenon has been identified and addressed over 20 years ago when the Barbados Program of Action was produced to assist the states in their sustainable development efforts. The Barbados Program refers to heavy dependence on imported petroleum products. For some African and Pacific seats, this dependence is very severe, with many countries being fully dependent on imported fossil fuels. This either heavy or full reliance on important fuels leads to many problems, including interruptions in energy supply, and makes seats vulnerable to changes of oil prices. This vulnerability leads to 2 practical results. The first are high electricity bills for the population, and the other result are the high import bills for the states. And the Barbados program refers to the figure of 12% of imports, that energy often can account for more than 12% of imports. For some African seats, this figure can raise to up to 30%. This reliance on important fuels is even more problematic if one considers how energy intensive are small islands. How much energy is needed for transport? How much energy is needed for tourism industry? Take an example of hotels, how much energy they spend on air conditioning, and how extremely inefficient very often is this spending. If we take all these situations, all these scenarios, and add them to one big picture, we indeed may accept the conclusion that the energy dependence is the major source of economic vulnerability of small islands developing states. Some actions were prescribed already 20 years ago in the Barbados Program of Action. These measures to be taken were refined at the 10-year review of the Barbados Program of Action and incorporated into so-called Mauritius strategy. Mauritius strategy refers explicitly to integrated energy programs, stipulating that these programs should be based on 3 pillars. First, there should be a comprehensive assessment of energy resources. Then it should be a thorough examination of measures to enhance energy efficiency, as well as steps should be undertaken to promote renewable energy. And keeping in mind limited time and your anticipation for a coffee break, I will focus on renewable energy. And I resisted the temptation to add a beautiful picture of islands showing their renewable energy resources, so I will just simply say that SIDS possess immense renewable energy potential, including solar, wind, hydro, marine, geothermal, or biomass. Pursuing renewable energy agenda, small islands try to reach energy diversification, and they try to secure energy supply. In this way, they also contribute to the global climate change agenda, and this is actually a very interesting situation because small islands are the least responsible for the consequences of climate change. By contrast, these consequences not only threaten their prosperity, but they very often threaten their existence. And it was very well summarized today that the SIDS cannot just sit back and relax. In such case, they can wake up and no longer exist. For that, to pursue renewable energy agenda is an absolute necessity, and in many states it is also a pragmatic choice, which is at least partially motivated by past failures of some other alternative projects. Examples could be the exploration of oil and gas resources in African seas, so far unsuccessful on a large scale. Other examples of failed projects include, for example, the ideas of using coconut oil as a fuel to replace diesel in many Pacific seas. Also, these attempts are so far, to a great extent, unsuccessful. It does not mean that to pursue a renewable agenda would be much easier. Quite the contrary. The endeavor is very problematic and is very likely to face serious practical impediments, mainly referring to technology and financing problems, some institutional impediments. There is a massive need for investment, including foreign investment in renewable energy sector and investment climate, and it will be addressed in much detail during dispute slots. Tomorrow is not up to standards or is not favorable at all in many small islands. Still, states, small islands, are very motivated to pursue the renewable agenda. They very often refer to development aid, and they are successful in securing it. And they do not only focus on renewables as a matter of general policy, but they also set specific targets which should be reached in a period of time. For example, 2012, Barbados set a target of increasing the rate of renewables in the whole energy supply to 29% until the year 2029. For Mauritius, similar figure, 35% until the year 2025. Some Pacific seats are much more ambitious with their targets, and they aim to generate 100% of their electricity from renewable technologies. These targets are ambitious if compared to some other seats, or if compared to European standards or Chinese standards. They are extremely ambitious, and they set very tight deadlines until the year of 2030, 2020. Samoa is an example of a state that has a very active renewable agenda, and according to many reports and high-level officials, it is ready to reach the 100% goal by the year 2017. Tokelau, a small dependent territory of New Zealand in the South Pacific Ocean, consisting of 3 tropical coral atolls, has shocked the world by achieving the goal of generating 100% of energy from renewables in 2012. Tokelau has been successful to date and exclusively powering the country from solar sources. These targets might be disputed. there are many commentators who share the view that they are way too ambitious, that they are completely unrealistic, but they show how committed are small states to pursue the renewable agenda. And their commitment, their strong political willingness, which is clearly communicated in this way, is very well received by international partners. And this leads to a number of initiatives at both regional and international level that are aiming to support the development of renewable energy sources in small islands. Let's take an example of Seeds Dock. Seeds Dock is an initiative among several small islands, which was designed literally as a docking station to connect the energy sector in Seeds with the global market for finance and sustainable energy technologies. There are also initiatives of international renewable agency, GRAIN, or Lighthouse initiatives. There is a huge international initiative which is summarized under the keyword Samoa Pathway. It is the third large development since Barbados Declaration and Mauritius Strategy, which equally emphasizes the need to end energy dependence of small island states and establishes a number of initiatives that are supposed to foster the environmental agenda. An important example are the states partnerships. 300 of them were established at the Samoa conference in 2014. The steering committee for partnerships was organized only recently, and its first meeting took place only in February 2016. It all shows that there's much movement in the renewable agenda of Seeds. Three success factors are present, including strong national strategies and policies, regional cooperation, and international support focused mostly on financing. And all these strong national, regional, and international commitments create a momentum of opportunity, and it remains to be seen whether this opportunity will be seized, and it should be hoped that it will be the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Agnieska. It's very interesting, I think, to see that the countries that are probably most directly and immediately under threat from the global warming are the ones that are really responding in such an active way, and whereas other countries, we just read in the news, where they're more locally or regionally affected by it, like India at the moment, aren't necessarily responding as strongly. It's the human condition, isn't it, really?